Now here's another example of our ears helping us. So this kind of has to be built on though. When your child's in senior infants, they might be saying things like rund or sod or maked, because they're used to these ed. They hear so many words that have ed when you're talking that they're so clever that they go, well, if that works for walked, then it must go on the end of run, and I'll say rund. So we have to be listening out, let our ears help us, and over the next year or so, they'll start to understand that actually no, it's not rund, it's ran. It's not sawed, it's saw. Like I saw a butterfly. I ran on the beach. Okay, so maked again. That's not the real word that we say. We say made, but their ears will help them over time. It's not something that you have to kind of practice too much and drill in. But what I do want to show you is the holding hands rule. So for words here, the reason why we've got the second p in here, the reason is to stop the two vowels from holding hands. Okay, because this word is skipped, so that sound is I. Okay, so if we want him to stay as I, he can't hold hands with the ed, because we always add the ed here. So if we left out the p, they'd be able to hold hands, wouldn't they? Because there'd be only one letter in between them. So when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking and says its letter name, I. So this would be skyped, and we don't want that, we want skipped. So you just add the second p in. That's all it is. That's why the second p is in there. The same goes here. It doesn't actually, you don't need a second p because you've got your in jump. Jumped, jumped. Okay, so the U and the E can't hold hands because there's two letters in between them. Okay, the same down here for kicked. Kicked. If we didn't have the C and the K, the two cut sounds in there, if we only had one of them, let's say we only had the kicking one here, then it would be, they'd be able to reach each other and hold hands, and it'd be I, so kiked, kiked, and that's not the word we want kicked. So we just put the two sounds in there, and it keeps the two vowels apart, and that's the reason why we have it. Okay, so you'll spot that in a few of these words down here. Here again, this is actually a long sound, so it's the A. He's already saying his letter name, so really he doesn't care that they're not adding another letter in between, because he wants to say A. Played, played. Okay, so that's the opposite way where it works. So you don't need a second Y in there, because they actually want to hold hands anyway. They're already holding hands. Play, played. He already saying his letter name. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind. And if your child is at that level where they think they're ready to be challenged like this, again, you see made here, and that's one of those ones that your child might be saying maked, but the more they hear made being said around them, things they'll understand, and it's saying its letter name here because they're able to hold hands. Okay, so if your child was to write, let's say, just an example here, if they were to write skipped, actually I'll do hopped. Hopped, so if we had hopped and your child wanted to write hopped in their sentence, so they write hop, and then they go, oh yeah, I have to add that ed, hopped, ed, and then what they've actually written is oh, because they're holding hands, aren't they? So it's hoped they've written. So what they really just need to do is, it's not the end of the world, obviously, we're senior infants, so you just squeeze in the next p. Okay, you don't have to go scribbling out or the whole thing or ever, just to recognize, oh, I had a look back and I fixed it. Okay, and now they can't hold hands, so it's back to hopped. So if they ever do come across those ones, just squeeze in that extra letter. It's just good practice to spot them. Okay, let's look.